Hello everyone and welcome back to Common Sense Crypto Channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. I'm going to start with this. Major XRP fan says he will buy Tesla's Cybertruck after Elon Musk's new tweet. Owner of Twitter, CEO of Tesla, tech billionaire Elon Musk has issued a new tweet in which he endorsed Tesla's recent product, Cybertruck. The tech innovator stated that he had just driven it around in Austin, Texas. This tweet attracted the attention of many Twitter users and an inflow of comments from them. Several crypto-themed Doge and XRP accounts also responded, and a prominent XRP fan, XRP Crypto Wolf, suggested that he will buy a Cybertruck as soon as Tesla begins to accept XRP. And I like the way that he called Elon Musk out on his own platform. But you know, eventually everyone will accept XRP once mass adoption happens. Straight from the BIS, we need to get different technologies to speak to each other. The messaging element's fundamental. Imagine there's a pair of currencies that don't have complementary demand. You need a third party to make this settlement happen. Think about XRP and QNT coming together. Take a listen to this.
With all that in mind, how do we deal with this issue of exchange rates and interoperability? How do we get these digital currencies to really just talk to each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think when we talk about interoperability, we can see it at least in three different levels. So the first level is how we manage domestic interoperability. So how we generate this digital currency solution and make this speak with the other things that are out there in a little bit in the idea of generating a platform so that everyone can connect to that platform and take advantage of the huge network externalities that we can get out of there. The second level is how do we manage cross-border transactions, even within the same currency. And that presents a certain level of challenges there. But when we talk about cross-currency and cross-border, then we face a completely difficult and different environment. And we can see three dimensions here. One is the technical dimension, so how we manage to get a system that speaks in a certain cryptographic language to speak with another that speaks another slightly different language. So that is one level of complexity. We need to get the technologies to speak to each other. The messaging element is fundamental. The second dimension, which is much more complicated to solve, so that one, the first one was the easy one, okay? And there is a lot of money that is being put in terms of trying to solve these technical issues of interoperability. Now, the second one is more complicated. It has to do with liquidity. So imagine that you have a pair of currencies for which there is not a complementary demand. You need to go and search for a third-party currency in order to make this settlement actually happen. And this really complicates things. So we need to put pieces of technology that can make more efficiency this use of liquidity so that more transactions can be settled. The third dimension, which is even more difficult than the previous one, is how do we manage to get homogeneity in terms of the policy requirements on different countries. And this becomes even more complicated when we think about, for example, AML-CFT and principles-based policies, and when we think about risk-based policies. We can code things that are very clearly stated, but when we're talking about principles-based regulation, this thing becomes really complicated, especially in an environment, as Tom said, in which 110 nations might have 110 different ways of looking at this. So we need work in these three dimensions: technology, liquidity, and also, and more importantly, probably in the policy side of things. Think about AML-CFT, but also think about
So think about a massive network forming, and the BIS is pouring a ton of money into this project at the same time. And now all of a sudden enters QNT for interoperability, enters XRP for cross-border payments and liquidity. It's all coming together. And that's why I always told you, things don't get built overnight. They get built over time. The first time I seen this coming together was like in the beginning of 2022. Here we are now in 2023, and things look like they're coming together like never before. And this is going to continue to happen over time, and it's going to form this right here. One massive network. And that's, again, why I always talk about it, because early on it was hard to see. And I would tell you, okay, well, these two cryptocurrencies are working together. Then all of a sudden they started branching out and getting into the banks. Then CBDC talks started to come involved also. Then ISO. And now look we have Fednow tying into this as well. Everything is coming together perfectly. I know shit all about this. Settlement of transactions for the real estate industry. The cost involved, the title insurance, it's crazy how much it costs. There's a very cool company called Proppy Inc., which is relatively small right now, trying to basically tokenize real estate transactions. But take a listen to what Brad Garlinghouse said.
I think, however, and I'll pick on one. It's a company that I am not involved with, but I find to be super interesting. The settlement, and by the way, I know shit all about this, so I apologize in advance if I'm stepping in it. But settlement of transactions for the real estate industry are like the costs involved, the title insurance, like it's crazy how much it costs. There's a very cool company called Proppy, which is relatively small right now, trying to basically tokenize real estate transactions. So if you own a home, you own an apartment, you own hypothetically a building, and you could even fractionalize the building ownership. It's just an area that I find super interesting. The amount of friction where it hasn't kept up with the efficiencies of technology, I think, is an interesting one. And I use that example because it's not one that Ripple's likely to go work on. Yep. But look, there are a whole bunch of things. If the magic and novelty of a blockchain is to allow two parties to transact with certainty, but without trust, you don't have to have the trust. Now, today, we commute trust through a central counterparty. And that central counterparty in correspondent banking is that correspondent bank. And that's where cross-border payments and Ripple's focus there. But, if you're in the real estate industry, there's a central counterparty that commutes trust of a transaction. You buy title insurance and all these things. I think any industry that has a consequential central counterparty that's extracting tolls and slowing transactions down is at risk from how blockchain technologies can impact.
You know why Brad Garlinghouse is talking about real estate tokenization? Because Ripple is going after that money. And it's a massive, massive industry. With work from home trends continuing, commercial real estate in the U.S. will see a slow recovery. Economist Kiran Rashura wrote in a report. But they're saying it won't recover until 2040. So how do you fix this problem? Because if the commercial real estate falls and that bubble pops, all of a sudden it goes into residential and that bubble pops and it slowly trickles down. Well, XRP can fix that problem. XRP Ledger can be the solution for the 1.5 trillion commercial real estate problem. The XRP Ledger has the potential to tokenize commercial real estate and provide a solution for the trillion-dollar market. Tokenization refers to the process of representing real-world assets, such as properties, as digital tokens on a blockchain. These tokens can be traded and transferred with ease, offering liquidity and fractional ownership opportunities. And the reason I like this is because you could take a small amount of money and buy into a commercial real estate property. Then all of a sudden they get somebody in there paying rent, leasing that property, and you start getting passive income from it. And this is going to grow out so fast over time. You know why? Because they're pricing people out of real estate right now. But it also increased liquidity. Tokenization enables fractional ownership, allowing investors to buy and sell small portions of a property. This opens up the market for a wider range of investors, increasing liquidity and potentially driving up demand. Enhance accessibility. Tokenization can lower barriers to entry for investors as it reduces the need for large amounts of capital to participate in commercial real estate investments. It opens up opportunities for retail investors to access previously inaccessible assets. Think about it. If you had to go out and buy a commercial property right now, most of the time you're looking at $1 million plus. But you could buy a small piece of that property. Maybe you put in $1,000, whatever, and you start getting passive income. And then you take that passive income and you reinvest it and buy a bigger piece and then a bigger piece. And all of a sudden, you're a real estate mogul. Efficient transactions. The XRP Ledger's fast and low-cost transactions facilitate the seamless transfer of tokenized assets. This streamlines the buying, selling, and trading processes associated with commercial real estate. And again, Everybody's still looking at money being transferred across borders, but you got to also look at assets being transacted across borders as well. Transparency and security. Blockchain technology ensures transparency and immutability of transactions. Tokenized assets on the XRP Ledger can be tracked, verified, and audited, reducing fraud and improving overall security. And again, the reason that the real estate market is in such trouble right now, the commercial real estate market, is because people found ways to work from home. Companies realized it's cheaper to keep their employees at home at the same time. This is one way you can solve that problem in the future. Lawyer outlines what would happen if SEC wins lawsuit against Ripple. Now, everybody wants to know what happens if Ripple was to lose. And everybody also wants to know, well, what if Ripple wins? Then what comes next? But you know, everybody's so focused on this right now, and that's why I always thought, you know, this could be the biggest shakeout for XRP holders. That's where I got my opinions on Ripple losing and then having to go through an appeal process. So if Ripple loses to the SEC, there won't be any money collected for years, Deaton wrote in a lengthy tweet on Thursday. Now, he's talking about that other lawsuit, the class action lawsuit. If the SEC wins, Ripple will appeal, and the status quo that exists today will continue over the next 2 to 5 years. Think about Gary crushing the crypto space for another 2 to 5 years. That would be absolutely catastrophic. Assuming the SEC wins and the civil case lawyers get a win because the judge in California follows Judge Torres' ruling, Ripple will appeal the case as well, and there will be no money for years, if ever, he warned, emphasizing 5 years from now, if Ripple loses all the appeals, the SEC would then collect the money, i.e. $1.3 billion, not the civil plaintiffs. You know, that whole class action lawsuit is not a win for anyone. If anything, it's another loss for Ripple because they're going to have to pay out some sort of settlement. The lawyers are the real winners in all of it. That's what it comes down to. But I'm really thinking that this judge is going to rule in favor of Ripple, because we're at a time where I'm seeing the real world and the crypto space clash together. You know, with Fednow going live, you have BRICS talking about their own currency, talking about sending all the debt back to the United States like overnight. You know, a lot of things in the real world play into the crypto space, and it could give you hints on where we're going in the near future. So, interesting twist in the Fednow plot. Ripple and Finestra announced their partnership on October 9, 2019. This partnership allows Finestra's customers to connect and transact with RippleNet partners, which includes more than 200 financial institutions worldwide. Finestra also has been approved by Fednow as one of the first participants in the Fednow service, which is a new real-time payment system that will be used by financial institutions in the United States. So, because Ripple is tied up with the SEC, the Fed goes through one of their partners and still works with Ripple and XRP in the end. And it's not just one company, it's multiple companies. Ripple Partners, ACI Worldwide, Volante Technologies, and Finestra have been actively working on developing Fednow, the U.S. Federal Reserve's instant payment system. But what's nice about this is through Volante, they could also utilize XRP as well. And that's why I said, you know, people were under this delusion that there was all these Ripple XRP killers along the way. But now the writing's on the wall. We know where we're going from here. Please do not contact the judge or anyone else associated with the case. No good can come from it. Johnny Deaton says, some people in the comments are planning to write letters. This needs to stop. And you know why they want to write letters? Because they're impatient. Because they can't wait any longer. We've been in this long. We've been holding XRP for quite a long period of time. What's a little bit longer? You know, impatience will get you nowhere. There's people selling right now because of impatience. And I'll do a different video on that for tomorrow. Revolutionizing global payments. Ripple and Stellar dominate the SWIFT integration landscape. And that's the other thing. You got to also look at SWIFT, which I think Ripple's going to steal a lot of business away from. So is Stellar. You know, Stellar's the person-to-person money all throughout the world, but it goes beyond that even. And that's why I still think SWIFT, Ripple, and Stellar will all work together somehow. They'll have to find a happy medium in the future. Otherwise, SWIFT will die. Agree. Sick and tired of waiting and all the wasted time, loss of potential monies. I love Ripple XRP, but can we really win? Will they let us win? I don't know. And you know, we will all find out very soon if we win or not. But I do know this, even if Ripple lost to the SEC, I'm still going to continue holding XRP. It's still going to be utilized all throughout the world. Fednow is still going to utilize XRP at some point. And right now it's domestic payments, but you know that's going to morph into cross-border payments at some point also. You know, if you just invest whatever you could afford to lose, you will get patience. You won't have to be tapping into your XRP bag when you need gas, when you need groceries. That's why I always tell you, only put in whatever you could afford to lose. Every little bit gets you closer and closer to financial freedom. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.